So why train range? A huge part of the game, old school RuneScape, is combat, and range is a combat skill. So in all of those different combat scenarios, you can use range as an effective way to fight monsters, fight other players, fight anything that involves combat. There are so many different bosses that it's really helpful to have high range. TOB, Theater of Blood, Chambers of Xeric, Zulrah, Vorkath, Hydra, Venenatus. There's so many bosses, I can't list them all here, but there are tons of different places where range is extremely helpful, and if you plan on doing much bossing at all, it is highly recommended that you get your range up. Even if you don't plan on bossing, you're still at the lower level content and more focusing on that, there's still reasons to get your range up. There are quite a few quests that actually require some sort of range level. I'll go ahead and list that here. So Morning's End Part 1 requires 60 range. That's a pretty important quest because it unlocks Song of the Elves down the line, which is a very rewarding quest. Also, for the achievement diaries, there are diary requirements that involve range. So it ranges all the way from 19 range up to level 70 range. How range works. Range is a combat skill, as I've already said, so its primary use is to attack NPCs or other players and do damage. As you get your range level up, you unlock new equipment, new weapons, and your accuracy rolls and your damage rolls both improve as your range level goes up. Melee relies on both your attack and strength, but for range is essentially your attack and strength combined into one skill. There are 3 different variables that determine how accurate and how much damage you're going to do with your range. The first is your range level, the second is your range attack bonus, and the third is your range strength bonus. I'll go ahead and list the formulas on the screen. Your range attack bonus and range strength bonus are determined by the weapons and the armor that you wear. Range has a unique thing about it compared to melee, and that is that you can attack from a distance. You don't have to be right next to your opponent or whatever you're attacking. Your attack distance or your attack range depends on what weapon that you're using. Here is a table of all the different weapons and their attack range. There are also potions that boost your ranging level, so if you want to boost the amount of damage that you can do, it is a good idea to bring range potions. You have ranging potions, which will boost your range level and then slowly decrease over time. Then you have divine ranging potions, which will boost your range level and it will stay at that boosted level for 5 minutes before it goes back to the regular level. Next, you have bastion potions, which are a range potion mixed with a super defense potion, and a divine bastion potion, which is like a divine ranging potion mixed with a divine super defense potion. Some other invisible boosts to your range level, but just as effective, are prayers and your stance. If you're on defensive stance, then you get a +1 invisible range level. If you're on accurate stance, then you get +3 invisible range levels. And if you're on rapid, you get +0 range levels, but you attack faster, so rapid is actually usually the best. Prayer is another combat skill that aids the other combat skills. So there are prayers that boost your range level by 5%, 10%, 15%, and finally the highest level prayer, Rigor, which requires 74 prayer, and using a dexterous prayer scroll, it boosts your range attack by 20% and your range damage by 23%. There are so many different weapons, we can't go over them all, but we're going to go over some of the best PVM weapons, best damage burst weapons, and some other weapons that are useful. So the best PVM weapons, you have Twisted Bow, the Toxic Blowpipe, the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, Armadillo Crossbow, and the Crystal Bow. And which one is the absolute best kind of depends on the situation and the boss. Generally, Twisted Bow is the best out of those. Then for the best damage burst weapons, we have the Heavy Ballista, the Dark Bow, Dragon Knives, and Dragon Throwing Axes. So these are the weapons that you would want to use in PvP situations where you want to output a whole bunch of damage very quickly. And once again, each one kind of has its own nuances and special situations. Then some other useful ones that you should know about are Chinchampas. You have gray, red, and black Chinchampas. Those have an effect of dealing damage to monsters in an area. So they're extremely good for training because you can attack a lot of things at once. Then you have the multi-dwarf cannon, which attacks on its own independent of you. So it's really good for some free range XP along with the damage that you're doing yourself. Here we have all of the different tiers for range armor. Range armor is pretty straightforward. It gives you some stats and that's pretty much it. There are 2 sets that give some sort of bonus, so that is void armor, The regular version of Void Armor gives a plus 10% boost to range. Elite will give a 12.5% boost to range. The other set of range armor that gives a bonus is the Crystal Armor. If you're wearing Crystal Armor, you get a plus 15% bonus to damage when using a Crystal Bow, and a plus 30% bonus to accuracy when using a Crystal Bow. Range armor is a bit weird, being that Black Dragonhide is pretty close to the best range armor in the game. It's only slightly worse than the best, which is Armadillo. And Black D'hide costs like 15k for a set. And you can wear the chaps and the vambraces with 1 defense. Then you have God D'hide, which is just very slightly better than Black D'hide in that it gives you a prayer bonus. That's the only difference, is it gives you a prayer bonus. Then you have Carol's, which is pretty close to just about as good as God D'hide. It gives you more magic defense, but it is worse in some other stats, but the range attack bonus is the same. Then you have Crystal Armor, which has slightly worse defense bonuses against melee. It has the same range attack bonus, except on the helmet. The helmet gives +1 more than the God D'hide coif or the Carol's coif. A big thing about the Crystal Armor is that it has a prayer bonus. And then you have Void, which gives you no range attack bonus. It just has that set bonus that gives you a 10% boost to range. So all of those sets are pretty close to about the same. It kind of depends on the situation, where one might be a little bit better than the other. And then you have the best set, which is Armadillo, and it is only slightly better than the previously named ones. Then you have some other gear, such as things that go in the cape slot, shields, boots. Once again, range gear is a little odd. Robin Hood hat and ranging boots are pretty close to the best range gear for their slots, and yet they require 1 defense. Twisted Buckler is the best shield for range attack bonus, but it doesn't offer very much defense bonus. Barrow's gloves are the best gloves for range, which is a little odd since they're not exactly range specific gloves. And really important things for range are the Attractor, Accumulator, and the Assembler. You get those from doing the Animal Magnetism quest and Dragon Slayer 2 for the Assembler. They have a special effect where ammo that you shoot doesn't leave your ammo slot. They have a special effect where they pick up the ammo that you shoot most of the time. So if you shoot 100 arrows, if you're using the Accumulator, you should have 73 arrows in your ammo slot after you've shot 100. So you're only going to lose 27. The Assembler is slightly better in that it saves 80% of the ammo that you shoot. So if you don't want to be picking up ammo all the time, you definitely want to complete Animal Magnetism in order to get either an Ava's Accumulator or an Ava's Attractor. Let's go ahead and get into low level range training. So this is going to be level 1 to level 50. By the way, this is going to be done in a bit different format than my previous guide videos. What I'm going to do is lay out the XP rates for each method, compare them all now, not talk about how to do each method right now. I will say that for later after we see the XP rates for each method and compare them all together. So if you guys have seen my previous videos and you think this format is better or my old format is better, go ahead and let me know down in the comments so I know how to do future videos. The first thing we're going to talk about are quests. Typically, I would say that it is good to quest up your early levels, but for range, on the other hand, range is going to be such a quick skill, and most of the quests have fairly high monsters or things you have to defeat or high skill requirements. In the case of range, I would say none of these are optimal, unless you're an Iron Man or you don't have access to a cannon and cannonballs. If that's the case, then doing Shadow of the Storm and Contacts to go from level 1 straight up to level 35 range would be good to do. For low-level training, there are 4 main methods I would say that you can choose from. So there's Knife, Crab Training, Nightmare Zone, Cannon, and Chinning. Knife crab training includes rock crabs, ammonite crabs, and sand crabs. Ammonite is the best out of those because it has the most health, but the other 2 are doable as well, and similar XP rates. So here we have the general average XP rates from level 1 to 50 for the different methods graphed out, and the GP per XP down beneath the method name. So obviously, as you would expect, the more expensive methods are faster and the cheaper methods are slower. Chinchompas, you can't use that until level 45 range, so that's just for the end of this level range bracket. Cannoning Dagnoths would be the next best option. There are so many good money-making methods in the game that I would highly recommend. It is the best use of your time to use the expensive methods. Don't waste your time using the cheap methods. Although, of course, in the end, it's up to you. Then this next graph, I included the cannon XP that you get from Slayer. This graph really only applies if you want to train Slayer and Slayer is your focus, you get free range XP on the side while using the cannon. So essentially range XP is free, so that's why it's so high on this graph, because it's essentially 0 time. If range is your focus though, and you just want to get your range up, this graph doesn't really apply to you. If you don't want to count your range XP from Slayer as free XP and you want to know the actual XP rates, you're probably going to be getting around 30 to 60k XP per hour while doing Slayer, depending on if you're just using your cannon for XP or if you're using like a short bow plus your cannon. With those main training methods in mind, I made 4 different sample plans to go from level 1 to level 50 range. You don't need to follow any of these plans, but these are just 4 that I came up with if you wanted a plan. We have range focus, most optimal route, overall focus, most optimal route, AFK range route, and alt cannon route. The first one, range focus, most optimal route. The prereqs are the bar crawl, 30 agility, and then you need a +5 boost, so like a summer pie, 43 plus prayer, and 30 plus HP. Or instead of the prayer, you can have 40 plus defense and 30 plus HP. You need a cannon, 1 mil plus GP, started Monkey Madness, and you need to have completed the Dwarf Cannon quest. Then it's recommended to have 40 plus attack, strength, and mage to defeat the Dagonoth boss. This isn't required. If you're very experienced in PVM and you've done this quest before, you can do it with lower stats, but I would recommend for newer players that you should have at least those. The first step is to complete Horror from the Deep quest. That will get you from level 1 to level 20 range. Next, you want to cannon and range Dagonoths down in the lighthouse basement. You want to make sure that you're using your best short bow plus your best arrows. You don't want to be using darts or knives because your higher range bonus will affect your cannon, and your range at this point is such a low level that you're going to be really inaccurate with knives or darts. Do this from level 20 to level 45. Once you hit level 45, you want to move over to the Monkey Madness 1 caves, where you're going to use Chinchampas, and you're going to go from level 45 to level 50. To complete all 3 steps, so step A, B, and C, it should take about 65 minutes, and it should cost about 765k. Route number 2, overall focus, most optimal route. For this, you're going to want at least like 10 mil plus GP for gear. You need to have completed the Dwarf Cannon quest. You need a Dwarf Cannon. And what you do is you just train Slayer efficiently. Cannon every cannonable task that you can. Do this all the way from level 1 to 50 range. Range is counted technically as 0 time. In total, it should actually take about 10 hours if you're starting at level 3 to go from level 1 to 50 range if you're doing Slayer efficiently with your Dwarf Cannon. That is if you're using a melee as your main weapon, so you're only using your cannon for range XP. It should cost about 1 to 2 mil. Route number 3, AFK range route. So for this, there are no prereqs other than Bone Voyage if you want to use Ammonite crabs, which you can kill sand crabs and rock crabs with no requirements. So step A, use your best darts or knives you can at rock, sand, or Ammonite crabs. And just do that from level 1 to level 50. Total time, it should take about 270 minutes. Cost should be about 225k. Then number 4, we have the alternate cannon route. So this is if you don't want to get all the requirements for Horror from the Deep. This one is a bit easier to get into, but it is a bit slower than the first cannon method. So prereqs are Dwarf Cannon quest, Waterfall quest, you need a cannon and 1 mil plus GP. So step number 8, you cannon and use your best short bow to range the fire giants in the Waterfall dungeon. Do this from level 1 up to level 50 range. It should take about 150 minutes and it should cost about 700k. Let's go ahead and get into high level training. So level 50 to level 99. There are a lot more methods for this level range. Here they are listed from the slowest to the fastest, with the GP per XP to the right of the XP rates. The 2 slowest methods, knives at crabs and at Nightmare Zone, those are both in the lower level section as well. Those are the slowest methods here, but they are also the most AFK. So if you're looking to AFK, those are probably your best options. Although really, I would only say to do those methods if you really, really want to AFK, because you're going to spend a whole lot more time getting your level up if you do those methods than the other methods. Range is a very fast skill. You can get level 99 in 1 day. So spending months at crabs or Nightmare Zone could be seen as a pretty big waste of time. And then 2 other things to note. First of all, there are more cannon places than I have listed here, but I picked the ones that I think are the best spots. And then lastly, this guide is structured differently, so how to do each method is going to come up later in the video. Right now, I'm just going to go over the XP rates and compare them against every other method. Here we have all the different methods compared in a graph. So you can see that chinning is a very big increase over the other methods. It's much faster. I personally would always chin my range on an account if I'm getting range up and I'm not going to do Slayer. You just save so much time using chins. Cannoning plus ranging stuff can be okay. You get you get better XP rates than you'd get at Crabs or at Nightmare Zone, and it's not super AFK, but at the same time it's not very click intensive. And then things like darts or knives at Crabs or Nightmare Zone, the only reason why you would want to do those is if you want to AFK heavily. This next graph is XP rate adjusted graph to include the time it takes to gather money. So some of you guys might be looking at the previous chart and being like, well, Chinchompas cost a lot of money and getting that money takes a long time, so they're not good, but that is false for pretty much everyone in this game. So if 1 mil per hour is your efficient moneymaker, everyone in the game can make 1 mil an hour. There are methods to get 1 mil an hour that have no requirements. So if 1 mil an hour is your best moneymaker, this is the graph adjusted. It includes the time it takes to get the money. So here chins aren't that much better, but they're still better. Red chins at the MM2 cave are the best option. Then once again, the same thing, but this time 3 mil an hour is your efficient money making. In this case, chins are starting to get a good lead above the other methods. And then finally, the last graph, this is if you make 6 mil per hour. Once again, chins are getting even better than the other methods. Surprisingly, black chins are worse than regular chins and red chins. The XP rates that I posted earlier and the GP per XP that I posted with them, black chins actually don't become better or more efficient than red chins until you can make 19 mil an hour. So I have 4 different routes to get from level 50 to 99 range. These are just sample routes. Of course, you don't have to follow these. You can go your own route, but some people like to have like a full route plan from level 50 to 99. So here are 4 different ones. First of all, we have range focus most optimal route. So the prereqs are Monkey Madness 2 started. It's recommended to have range void armor. The first step, A, you want to use gray Chinchompas at the MM2 caves from level 50 to 55 range. And then after that, you want to use red Chinchompas at the Monkey Madness 2 caves from level 55 to 99 range. The time it takes is 19 hours and cost is 45.5 mil. The second plan is the overall focus most optimal route. So prereqs, you should have probably at least 150 mil plus GP to buy gear and supplies, and you need to have completed the Dwarf Cannon quest. So first step is train Slayer efficiently. Cannon every cannonable task from level 50 to level 93 range. By the time you hit 93 range, you should have hit 99 Slayer. So at that point, you're going to switch over to red Chinchompas at the Monkey Madness 2 caves, and you're going to use the chins on defensive mode, which is called long fuse when using Chinchompas. And then you're going to do that from level 93 to 99 range. Time is 0 hours because this plan, you're essentially training other skills, and then range is just kind of like a freebie that you're getting along the road. When you're training Slayer, you're using melee. You're just getting range XP from Slayer from the cannon. When you're using Chinchompas, you're doing that for defense, and then range is just kind of a secondary bonus to it. So in total, it should take about 315 hours. If you want to know how long it takes, it will cost about 130 mil. And other things you're going to achieve on this route, as well as 99 range, are 99 attack, 99 strength, defense, HP, magic, and Slayer. The third route, the AFK range route, so prereqs, 5 Nightmare Zone quest bosses unlocked. The preferred bosses come from Vampire Slayer, the Depths of Despair, What Lies Below, Lost City, and Trinome Village. So the first step, you want to do Nightmare Zone magic shortbow training from level 50 to level 60 range. After that, you're going to switch over to a crossbow, and you're going to train at the Elder Chaos Druids from level 60 to 99 range. The time, it should take 110 hours, and the cost is 10 mil. One thing to note about this one is the Elder Chaos Druids are in the wilderness, so you can die and it could end up costing a lot more, but from my experience, there aren't a lot of PKers, and usually it's just like 1 or 2 PKers, and it's not too hard to escape. Then the fourth sample route, the canon route, the prereqs are Sins of the Father and the Dwarf Canon quest. So the first step, you're going to get a cannon and a magic short bow, and you're going to range Bloodvelds in the Dark Mire dungeon. Do that from level 50 all the way up to 99 range. Should take about 82 hours, and on this one you're actually going to profit about 5 mil. Bosses. So for any of these, I'd recommend to be at least 85 plus range, but once you're 85 plus range, another thing you can do bosses and get range XP from them. I wouldn't say this is exactly what you should be doing to train your range, but it's kind of a benefit that you get once you have higher range. You can go and do this and get some XP while also making a lot of money. So here's a list of some of the bosses where range is pretty good at, the XP rate that you can get there, and then the GP per hour that you can make there. Some of these are actually pretty good, such as Alchemical Hydra, 135k range XP per hour and 5 mil per hour. The downside of that is you can only kill those on task. Yeah, I wanted to throw that in there, so if you're bored of training and you already have pretty high range and you want to go make some money while getting a little bit of range XP, you can go kill some of these bosses. For rock crabs, the requirements are nothing. There is a cash requirement if you want to use this to travel to Waterbirth, and then you get like this island where it's single combat, so people can't put cannons down. But if you're gonna stay over here on Relica, there's a spot here and a spot here, and there are absolutely no requirements. So this is just north of Camelot. You come up here to the north of the town. There are rock crabs. Sometimes people have cannons. That's why you may want to go to Waterbirth that requires cash. But you just come over here. You stand by the rocks. They pop up into a rock crab, and then you just basically sit here and kill the rock crabs. So if you want to AFK this, you just stand by one of the rocks and you can AFK. It will just respawn, and then you'll attack it once it respawns and just repeat. I'd recommend bringing range potions. If you're 1 defense, I would recommend bringing food because they will do some damage to you. You should bring your best range armor that you can get, along with the best knives or darts that you can use. I should say the best up to Addy darts or mithril knives. If you go higher than that, it becomes pretty expensive, and you probably shouldn't be using this method if you're willing to spend that much money. So as you guys saw, that cannon was pretty annoying. So if you want to go to a place where it's single combat, you come over to this guy and go to Waterbirth. If you have not done the Fremenic Trials quest, it will cost you 1,000 gold. So you get to this island, and I'd recommend going to a spot that has multiple rock crabs. This used to be a pretty hot spot, so it was hard to find a spot sometimes, but now it's pretty dead. So this is a 3 rock spot. This is the best spot, although you want to make sure that you are only having 1 pop up at once, or else they'll wander off like that. So if the 3 rock spot is taken, another good spot is this one right up here. So a 2 rock spot. And you want to make sure you only pop 1 up at once. So you would stand by this one, kill it. Once it's dead, then you would stand here, and then you could just AFK. Sand crabs, they are essentially the same as rock crabs, 50 HP, and they are 1 defense. So the location is here south at the southern coast of Zaya. Down here, there are no requirements to kill these unless you want to go to this Crab Claw Isle. That will cost you money. So bring cash if you want to go to this island. Usually it's less crowded, but if just the coast down here is not crowded, then there's really no reason to go there. So once again, just like the other spot, the rock crabs, you want to stand in a spot that has multiple crabs like this. This is a 2 rocks or 2 crab spot. If you stand here, it would be a 3 crab spot. And essentially you just stand here and AFK, and you will gain XP. You want to bring range potions, your best range gear, your best darts or knives, up to adamant darts or mithril knives. You want to bring food if you're low defense. What we're going to talk about is ammonite crab. So a good way to get there is the Digzite pendant. I would also recommend bringing ranging potions and food if you're low defense, your best range armor with your best dart up to adamant, or your best knife up to mithril. So to get there, you can use a Digzite pendant to go to the dig site, and you just travel with this boat. This will require the completion of Bon Voyage. So it's located on Fossil Island that you get access to after Bon Voyage. And the crabs are located all along the coast up here. So all along here, you want to the best spots are the ones that have 2 or 3 crabs around one spot where you can AFK. So the 3 crab spot is right here where this guy is at. You stand, I think, right here. These are a bit better than sand crabs and rock crabs because they have 100 HP rather than 50. Another spot is right here. This is a 2 crab spot. You get these 2 right here. So you just stand here and AFK, and yeah, you get XP. The next method we're going to talk about is Nightmare Zone. So Nightmare Zone is located at Yanil. So this is east of Castle Wars or south of Ardi. So here at the Nightmare Zone, there is a chest. The requirements are 5 bosses from quests. The 5 most recommended quests if you're going to be training range are Vampire Slayer, The Depths of Despair, What Lies Below, Lost City, and Tree Gnome Village. But you can have any 5 quest bosses to do this. Then you also need cash to pay this person to do the dream thing. Then you should also have a locator orb or a rock cake. Then you'll want your best range armor. Void is better than D'hide. Then you want a magic short bow or the best bow that you can use and the best arrows that you can use. Or a blowpipe, but a blowpipe is a lot more expensive. And if you're willing to pay as much as a blowpipe costs, you should probably just be chinning. You start out with 0 points, so the first thing you want to do is get some points. And if you're low level, that can be pretty hard. You either want to do endurance or rumble. If you're really low level, endurance will probably be easier, so endurance and then hard. If you have 43 prayer or higher, then you can probably do rumble and then just pick all melee bosses and use protect for melee and prayer potions, and then get your initial points that way. If you're doing endurance, you probably want to bring range pots, prayer potions, and food. But after you get your initial points, you want to use your points to buy overloads and absorptions. Or you can also buy ranging potions instead of the overloads. And this is the method you want to go with after you've gotten your points. As long as you're not an absolutely low level, like I'd say at least 30 plus range, you should be able to get your points back that you spend on these potions. So after you get your first like 10,000 points, you should never have to go back to the initial method again. You should always be able to use these potions. So get some absorptions, get some overloads. You come over here to these kegs, and then you go take overload. So take as many overloads as you want to take. I'm going to go ahead and take 8 doses, and then absorption potions. I'm going to go ahead and take 40 doses, so that's 10. So I have my potions with me. You come over to this person, you do dream, then do rumble. Customizable hard. It'll cost 26,000 coins unless you have a quest cape. Say yes. Then you come over here to this potion. So a good range setup, like I said earlier, Count Draenor from Vampire Slayer, Sand Snake from The Depths of Despair, Tree Spirit from Lost City, King Rolled from What Lies Below, and Khazard Warlord from the Tree Gnome Village. So that's 5 bosses that are really good, really weak to range. So then you just hit accept. Once you have those 5 bosses, you hop in here. And then what you want to do is you want to overload or super range pot, whichever one that you brought. Overloads will take 50 of your health away, so if you don't have 50 health, then obviously you got to use ranging potions. Then you want to use your locator orb or rock cake to lower your health down to 1, and then you want to drink your absorption potions after you're at 1 health. Once you've done this, the most damage anything can do to you is 1, so you'll only lose 1 absorption when you get hit maximum. Then you just wait for things to spawn, put auto retaliate on, and yeah. Make sure you keep an eye on your absorption so it doesn't go down to 0. Whenever you run out of overload, you want to drink your overload. And that's really all there is to Nightmare Zone. General information about the cannon. You have 4 pieces and the cannonball. It requires the dwarf cannon quest to use. So to set it up, you just click on the base and then it'll set it up automatically, or you can use the pieces on it to do it quicker. It'll load the cannonballs as well. It can hold 30 at a time. If you're using Runelight, you can go to the cannon plugin, and then there is something called show double hit spots. That's what I'm going to go ahead and turn on. That is what this is. So if you have a monster in one of these squares, the cannon will hit it twice each time it attacks. So I'm luring this guy to the double hit spot, and as you guys just saw, the cannon hit it twice. That is a lot of extra damage if you get monsters on the double hit spot. If a monster is bigger than 1 by 1, like these guards are 1 by 1, but if there's a monster that takes up 4 squares total, it's 2 by 2. Its hit spot is on its southwestern corner. So you'd want its southwestern corner to be on one of these red squares. A common spot that people just stand when they're AFKing that generally makes 2x2 monsters go to the double hit spot is this corner right here. The northeastern corner of the cannon. Monsters will usually stack right here or right here, and that is in the double hit spot. While using cannon for Slayer, you just want to make sure that you're putting it in a spot where you can get double hit spots often. If you're using Runelite, there is a plugin that shows you a good spot to put your cannon. Otherwise, just remember to try to get monsters in the double hit spot. For cannoning fire giants in the waterfall, first you need to have completed the waterfall quest. You need to have completed the dwarf cannon quest. I'd recommend bringing some ranging potions, divine ranging potions if you have the money, prayer potions, cannonball, food if you're low defense, or if you're new at this method you might get hit a few times, but otherwise you should be in a safe spot. Your cannon, a rope, a teleport out, alch runes, and a soul bearer would be helpful. You want your best range armor with a magic short bow, or your best bow and your best arrows. You could use a blowpipe, that would speed up the XP, but it would also make it much more expensive, and I would recommend a chin if you're going to spend that much money. So to get there, I am south of Barbarian Assault, so you just board this raft. You use a rope on this rock, use a rope on this tree, go through this door, then you want to run north and you want to go through the middle door. There's 3 different doors, you want to go through this middle one. Go through the first set, close them so that none of these spiders get in because they'll drain your prayer. Then you want to go through the second set. You might as well close those as well. And then you want to set your cannon up right here on this square. So like I'm just right to the side of this like thingy, pointy thing. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my cannon right here. Start firing my cannon, and then you want to stand right here. This is a safe spot. Prayer will speed up your XP. It's not necessary though. It will save you money to not use prayer potions. If you are going to use prayer, I'd probably use one of the lower prayers, because once again, if you're going to be spending a lot of money on prayer pots, you might as well just be chinning. So then you just range these like this, let your cannon do its thing. Whenever it's low on ammo, you just use your cannonballs on it. Preferably do it when you're not going to get attacked. I got attacked right there. You want to do it when you're not going to be attacked, so when these are all dead. Because when you get attacked, your cannon can only attack one. When you're in the safe spot though, it can actually attack all of them in the room. For cannoning Dagonoths, the requirements are you need to have completed Horror from the Deep and the Dwarf Cannon quest to use it cannon. So you want your cannon, cannonballs, I'd recommend some range pots, some prayer potions, and some food for sure. I didn't bring any food with me, but remember to bring some food, especially if you are low defense. You're going to need it. I'm here at the lighthouse. This is north of Barbarian Assault, so you can teleport to Barbarian Assault and then use your agility to go across this if you are, I think, 35 agility. Otherwise, you can go to Relica over here and then run west and cross the bridge and get up here. Or you can use fairy rings. This fairy ring code is ALP. I'd also recommend bringing a soul bearer and alch runes. The alch runes aren't too helpful here. They don't really drop any alchables. A seed box may be helpful because they do drop a lot of seeds. A teleport out would be helpful. You want your best range armor plus your best bow and your best arrows. And you have everything. You just enter the lighthouse. You go down this ladder, go in through this door, and then you can check if anyone's in here. If no one's in there, then go down. I'd recommend going to a world that doesn't have anyone else there. This is part of Runelite. This is a Runelite plugin. It shows where to put your cannon. Really, you can put your cannon down pretty much anywhere down here, and it's good. But I'm going to go ahead and put mine here. And once you get your cannon set up, you want to use Protect from melee. And then a range prayer would be helpful as well, although it's not required. So you want to fire your cannon, and then just range the Dagonoths, plus have your cannon attacking Dagonoths as well. Make sure you're loading up your cannon very often. You don't want it to run out because that's where a lot of your XP is going to come from. These attack with both melee. Some of them attack with melee and some of them attack with range. So even though I have Protect from melee on, you're still going to take some damage from range. So that is why you definitely want to bring food down here, especially if you're low defense. The melee ones are the strongest, so you definitely want to use Protect from melee. Don't use Protect from range. This is possible with 1 defense. I got 99 Slayer on my pure with 1 defense. And the way I would cannon them is I would cannon them over here. I'd set my cannon down somewhere around here. I think it was like right here. This is less XP though, so if you use this method, it will be a little bit less XP because the Dagonoths aren't spread out as much. But you can stand over here and then use Protect from range, and that way the only damage you're going to take is range damage, but you're using Protect from range, so that therefore you're going to take 0 damage if you have Protect from range. If you're 1 defense and you don't have overheads, then this spot will be tough to use. For cannoning Prif Bloodvelds, I would recommend to have range pots, divine range pots if you have the money, possibly prayer potions if you want to use some low level prayers. You need your cannon and cannonballs. Teleport to get to here is helpful. Teleport to the bank. Alcaroons are very helpful as well, and a soul bearer would also be helpful. You want your best range armor with your best bow and your best arrows. You could use a blowpipe, but that would make it a lot more expensive, and I would recommend chinning if you're going to spend that much money. The requirements for this are Song of the Elves quest and the Dwarf Cannon quest. So I'm here in Prif. You just want to go over to this dungeon right here, this dungeon sign. So I'm going to go ahead and head over there. Once you're in this dungeon, the Bloodvelds that you want to kill are just right over here to the east. You want to set up your cannon in this square. So from this crystal, you go up one and then 1, 2 over. So once you have that set up, you want to start firing it. You want to stand on this square. So you want to pot up. Turn on prayers if you want to use some prayers. I would recommend using the lower level prayers so that you're not spending a bunch on prayer potions. And then you just range them like this. You want to make sure that you are safe spotted from them. You don't want them attacking you, because when they are attacking you, your cannon can only attack the one that's attacking you. If you're safe spotted, your cannon can attack all of them in the room. Whenever your cannon is low on cannonballs, you just reload it. Try and do it without getting attacked like I did there. If you do get attacked, just get back to the safe spot, and after a few seconds it should be able to attack all of them again. For Darkmire Bloodvelds, how to get there, you want to start off in Canifis, and then you want to go through the trap door. Down the ladder, you want to go through the cave entrance, through the other cave entrance, and then you just follow the passage for quite a ways. And eventually you come to a room with Bloodvelds. You want to have prayer potions, ranging or divine ranging potions, a stamina potion, the cannon, and cannonballs. A soul bearer would be helpful because you're going to get ensouled heads quite a bit. Alchemy runes would also be good because you're going to get a lot of alch drops. You want your best range armor, a magic short bow with your best ammo. Darts and knives are too low of range bonus, so they're not as good as the magic short bow here. The blowpipe is of course better, but it is also more expensive. Runelight will show where to put your cannon, or just put it in the same spot that I put it. And then you turn on your cannon, you pot up, use your range prayers, make sure you're ranging the Bloodvelds and using your cannon. This isn't a Slayer guide, so I'm not going to go too much into detail with this, but you should be prioritizing barrage tasks first of all. Second of all, you should be prioritizing cannon tasks. And then finally, tasks that you can't cannon or barrage, those are the worst tasks. So any task that you don't barrage and you can cannon, you should be cannoning. Here's a list for 4 different masters, the tasks that you should be cannoning. If something's not on this list and you can cannon it and you don't barrage it, then it's probably a skip or a block. Also, some of the things on this list you can skip and block. It just depends on how many blocks you have. And how you set up your list. Personally, I pretty much always skip or block Aberrant Spectres. That's a pretty bad task. But if you were to do it, then you should be cannoning it. Hellhounds, Black Demons, those are some more tasks that I don't really like. But once again, if you're doing them, you should be cannoning them. If you're cannoning all the tasks you should be cannoning, according to CML, you should be getting about 0.8 range XP for every Slayer XP you get. And that is up to level 93. So if you get level 1 to 93 Slayer, you should also get level 1 to 90 range without ever having to shoot a bow. You could be doing melee the entire time and just have your cannon to the side, and you'll get to 90 range just from your cannon doing its own work. Then once you hit 93, you get Smoke Devils, and at that point, you're doing a lot more barrage tasks than previously, so it goes down to 0.3 range XP for every Slayer XP that you get. So by the time you do 1 to 99 Slayer, you should go from level 1 to level 93 range purely from your cannon while doing Slayer, without ever having to shoot a bow or train range yourself. So for an overall account where you care about every skill, this is the efficient way to go about your range. You don't even need to train it, and you should get to 99 or pretty close to 99 just from Slayer and other things. Of course, not everyone cares about Slayer and their overall account, so once again, if you don't care about those things, then this doesn't really apply to you. For Crossbow Elder Chaos Druids, the requirements are nothing other than 60 range. You want a crossbow definitely, or else it's just not worth it. This is in the wilderness, so you can die very easily. It's a multi, so you want to bring at most 3 good items. I would recommend putting your player attack options on hidden so you don't accidentally skull on anyone. Don't bring 4 items because since you're in multi, it's very easy for teams to smite your +1. So at most 3 good items. I have my crossbow, anguish, and a Din's Bulwark for defense to get away. You want some welfare gear. Black D'hide is very well for welfare, but also very good. So I would highly recommend Black D'hide if you can wear that. I have a proselyte helmet just for the prayer bonus and slight defense bonus. A Gothic Scape for the magic defense bonus. The blessing gives me prayer bonus, and it is a teleport away if I want to teleport out. You can also bring a dueling ring to teleport out. Snakeskin boots. I would recommend having some good food to get away if you get attacked. So I have mantas, crown wands, Cyrodiil and Brews, Superstores, prayer pots, a phoenix necklace, and the burning amulet is to get there. Also ranging potions. To get there, you use your burning amulet and you teleport to the Chaos Temple. Put on Protect from Magic. Come over here. Just put on Auto Retaliate, and you will Auto Retaliate and attack these guys. Make sure you use your ranging potions. Put on whatever range prayer that you want to use. The crossbow does a lot of damage to NPCs in the wilderness, so that's why this method is so good. Really good range XP. It's super AFK. The one problem is PKers. So if there's no PKers around, it's extremely good. If there are PKers around, then it can be a little annoying. These drop Elder Chaos robe pieces, which is the best in slot magic gear for 1 defense pures. So with that, you can make back a good chunk of the money that you spend on ether for your crossbow. If PKers come, you want to try and teleport out as quick as possible before you get TB'd. If you do get TB'd, put on your bulwark or whatever defense gear you brought, if you brought any, and then if you are getting attacked, probably your best bet of getting away is trying to run over to the Ferox Enclave. It's not too far away, so as long as it's a small team, you have an okay chance of getting there. Monkey Madness 1 chinning, you need to have at least started Monkey Madness. So I'm here on Apital. You want to come over here to this dungeon sign, and there is a ladder. You need at least 45 range to use regular Chinchampas. So you want to go with your best range armor. Void is best in slot here. Bring your Chinchampas. Don't bring all of them, because if you die, you will lose them. I'd recommend bringing between 500 to 2,000. Unless you know for sure you're not going to die, then you can bring more, but I don't usually bring more. I would recommend Divine Ranging Potions. You want your Prayer Potions, an Antidote, a couple doses of Stamina Potion, some emergency food, a Grigri, and a Teleport out. Once you have everything, you just go down this bamboo ladder, and then you're going to be in this cave. If you wear your Grigri, then monsters in here won't attack you. If you don't have a Grigri, then it doesn't matter too much. It just means monsters in here will attack you, so you'll have to put on Protect from Melee as you're running through the cave. I would recommend picking up these bones right here. And then the spot is just right past this spike trap. So once you pass the spike trap that you can't avoid, you will know that you are at the spot that I like. So right here. When you put on your Chinchampa or transform out of this, all of these skeletons will attack you. You want to pot up, put on your best range prayer, Protect from Melee, and start chinning. You want to try and get them into a 3x3 square. Because that is what your Chinchampa will hit. Also, you don't want to have big stacks of bones on one spot. You want to spread them out. So for example, if I had 2 bones on this one square, I'd pick up one, go right here and drop it. You want your bones spread out as much as possible because the bones will spawn new skeletons, but it only spawns 1 per square. So if there's a bunch on one square, it's only going to spawn 1. But if you spread those out, it will spawn as many as there are for each square. For Monkey Madness 2 chinning, this is much better than Monkey Madness 1 chinning. So if you have access to this, definitely do it. But anyway, for this, you need to have at least started Monkey Madness 2 and gotten to the point in the quest where you go down this trapdoor. So right now I am on this section of the island on Apital. So you go down this trapdoor. You want to have ranging potions. I would recommend Divine. Prayer potions, a stamina pot is helpful. I'd bring also a piece of food just for emergency healing. Teleport out, I'd recommend Ring of Dueling, especially if you finish the quest, because you can get back here pretty quick with the Ring of Dueling by using the glider at the duel arena. You also need a light source. My max cape is acting as my light source, so you need like a lantern You want your best range armor. Void is best for chinning. So how to get to the spot where you're actually going to chin? You want to run south down here. And then you're going to have to make your way through sort of like an agility course. And this changes for each player. So you're going to have a different route than me. But I'm going to go ahead and go through my route. For you, you're just going to have to find your own route. So you're going to have to end up falling down a couple times to find which way you're supposed to go. It is helpful though on some things. If you do go the wrong way, it will stop you and say that that's the wrong way. Eventually, you should come over, you should get to this spot right here, which is a hole, and this is where you're going to chin. Also, another tip, if you keep falling on the same obstacle over and over and it doesn't tell you anything, that is probably the wrong way to go. Sometimes it doesn't tell you it's the wrong way to go, but if you failed like more than 6 times in a row, then that's probably the wrong way. Once you get here, you want to look inside. It will tell you if there's anyone inside. You should find a world where there is no one there. There is someone here, but I'm not gonna do any chinning, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna show you guys where to go. So you run east. Over here, this guy is barraging, so he is not doing what we would do while chinning. So if you're chinning, you want to run over to this spot, and you want to go like this to stack up these monkeys. And as you guys can see in this clip, what you want to do is have auto retaliate on. You run to one square, let your auto retaliate force you to attack a monkey, and then you run to the other square, and once again let auto retaliate force you to attack, run to the next square, and you just repeat that over and over and over. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with the range grind. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, especially if this video helped you. I put quite a bit of time into it. Go ahead and leave a comment with any recommendations for things I should include in future range guide videos or future guide videos for anything else. And we'll see you next time.